Hi, I'm Corey, and I paint garish little demons blessed with magic, but cursed with tackiness. And today we're going to be painting the Demon Prince of Tzeentch. I'm trying something new this time around, so I picked up some acrylic retarder and I'm going to try wet blending things together like they're oil paint. I'm just grabbing a few random scale 75 paints from navy to an ice blue along with some forest green for a gradient. My technique is basically to slap down a ton of color into the recesses and immediately start blending in the adjacent color to wet brush blend in a gradient. It actually works a lot like oil paints, and I'm pretty impressed. Now, for the record, I bashed this model together from an Ogroid Thaumaturge model from Warcry, and I added some armor and armament from a proper Demon Prince model that he was more than happy to donate.
I'm dying. Help me.
Next, I just start base coating the model, getting those big color decisions out of the way, throwing down some color on the pauldrons and the horns and some of those other things, squinting at the model and going, all right, is this what I'm going to want this to look like at the end? Kinda, sorta? These scale 75 wood inks are absolutely bonkers. They look just like wood. They take like one coat if you put them over white. The only thing you have to make sure you do is not fuss too much because they get sticky really quick. And if you move the brush over them when they're sticky, it will immediately start peeling up those inks. I've also made the decision that I'm going to do a bunch of non-metallic metal gold on this model because it's a big, garish, fancy demon, so why not? And I just start mixing a ruddy brown and an ochre together just to get kind of a mid to low tone and start adding that everywhere on the model that's going to be eventually gold. For Demon Bone, I've started mixing equal parts Agrax and Purple Wash together. It just seems more otherworldly while still reading his bone. For the bone, I just take the same color that I used before and I paint up to take away all of the splotches caused by the wash. And then I do a couple more passes, adding a little bit more pale sands at a time, working up to almost completely white at the highest points. Here I begin mixing some purple and brown into my original red color for a shadow glaze. I also mix in yellow ink to my red for a highlight. I'd add white, but red and white makes pink, and I'm going for more of an infernal kind of color. While I'm at it, I start working on the sword with the same colors as the pauldrons. For this kind of look, I find things so much easier if I block in the highlight colors right off the bat, big and bold. With the yellows and reds that I've used previously on the model, I just water them down right on the palette, and I start to play around with glazing the sword. Now for the cloth, I'm doing the same as the pauldrons, but I'm adding a peach as a highlight color to make it visually distinct. I want a lot of this model to be red to contrast some of the other colors, but I don't want them to be the same kind of red exactly. Back to the non-metallic metal gold. I take my old mix and I added more ochre. Normally I'd highlight about 80% or more of the model with this, but I hold back so it gleams less. It's on a warrior, not on display after all. I make sure that I'm leaving places between the highlights to paint in a ruddy brown. Without that contrast, it doesn't end up reading as gold. Now that most of my ochre is laid out, I start adding a bright lemon yellow to my mix and use what results to lay out where my reflections will be. This can be nearly half of your surface for a very shiny model, but in this case I'm keeping it much more reserved to about a fourth. I'm constantly lifting up the model and looking at it from a distance to make sure that when I squint, what I have so far kind of looks like a reasonable gold. If any reflections don't pass the uncanny valley test, then I adjust them. Now, unfortunately lost to the camera graveyard. Once all of my gold colors are down, I mix orange Games Workshop wash with ochre 3:1 and use that to soft blend my high and low tones with the mids. Right now, it probably looks a little bit chunky, but a couple passes with that and everything starts to blend together really nice. Let's take a break from the metal for a second. I have a lot of recesses to paint, and to be honest, a bit of an unsteady hand. My solution is to mix flow improver, ink, and a little bit of paint together. This creates a paint that flows very easily into recesses and dries slow enough that it can be blended in the recess itself. I'm going to use this to make a glowing magical effect. I decide the hair is rather boring, and I create a more yellowish highlight. I decide that while I'm at it, I'm going to bounce around and fix all the little tiny things here and there that I forgot about on the model. It always happens when I get to the end, I look at it and I see just a million tiny mistakes looking back at me. So we've entered the fussing stage. For a simple steel non-metallic metal look, I wash a blue-gray base in blue, then highlight in less blue and more white tones, slowly building up to pure white. It's using the same method as with gold, just with different colors. I don't know how to base this army yet, so I'm just going to throw on some quick and easy Xandri dust, wash it in sepia tone, and then give it a dry brush of just off-white. It'll do for now. It's getting late, so instead of glazing flames and object source lighting onto the model, I bust out the airbrush and just do it with some orange fluorescent paint, followed by yellow ink. I could do it with a brush. It wouldn't be as good, and it would take me 10 times as long. And with that, I think we're done. We're on to the glamour shots. Well, thanks for checking out my painting process. I hope you liked my colorful demon thing. I've had a few subscribers show up in the last few days too. Howdy. Hey. Hey, buddy. Welcome. Okay. I gotta stop recording.